Now, we went a little bit backward here, as in we tried to basically tell you how to use the design thinking without actually going through the process and explain it. And I find that this is potentially a better way of getting exposed to it, because while I go through the explanation, you can try to fit it within your context. Specifically, if your context is a large organization, it is going to be very useful. But I'm hoping also if you are working in a smaller context, you can see where that fits in and where you might be able to kind of use it. Now, if you like this approach or if you prefer it the other way around, please feel free to let me know in the comments or reach out to me. Curious to hear your feedback. Now, let's go back to, okay, we have a problem and then we have a solution. We start from the problem first, then we go to the solution. But what does it mean? What does it mean to be in the problem space? What does it mean to be in the solution space? Suppose I want to develop an application for food delivery, for example. What is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Now, the problem is people are hungry and they need food. That is the problem that I'm trying to solve. Now, what does it mean to discover? Like, I need to observe people who are ordering food at the moment. How are they ordering food? When are they ordering food? What are the situations where they are ordering food? So if I observe it often enough, I can have the, what's it called? The very useful epiphany that people like good, tasty food. Maybe I will learn that they care about the price. Maybe I will learn that they care about how long does it take to deliver the food. Maybe they care how the food looks. Maybe they care whether it is delivered on time or not. And that is different than caring about how fast. Basically, the idea here is if I am hungry, then I want you to deliver my food as fast as possible. But if I have a lunch break, then I want you to deliver my food on time. If you deliver it earlier and I'm on a lunch break, I will be actually upset because I have to leave a meeting or an appointment or something like that in order to pick up your food. Whereas if I am hungry, the earlier you get it to me, the better it is. So spending some time to understand the user, observing how they react to the problem that they're facing, how they're currently solving it, that is spending time in the problem space. Now, the more time you spend here, the more ammunition you have when you are faced with trade-offs in the solution space. When you find certain limitations in terms of what you can and cannot do, what do you need to optimize for? Should you optimize for speed or should you optimize for consistency? It's a decision that your developers are going to have to make. But if you don't give them the ammunition, if the whole team doesn't have visibility of what kind of problem are you really facing, then they'll make a decision at random, and it might either fit or not fit uh, your context. And since we're making hundreds of these type of decisions, whenever we're developing even the simplest of apps, then you end up diverging way too much. And the chances that your solution really fits exactly the type of problem you actually want to solve becomes less and less. So this is spending more time in the discovery phase within the problem space. That's like a divergent step where we try to collect as much information as we can so that we know more about our customer. One of the suggested technique here is Gemba walks, and Gemba walks come from manufacturing. If I'm trying to basically optimize the process for my clients, then I just need to walk a mile in their shoes. Let me go shadow them for a while, observe how they react, and I might spot certain things that they are not because they are busy in the details and they might know certain things in the back of their head that they don't consider as important enough to let you know of. Whereas you, with the mindset that you want a desirable, viable, feasible solution, and with the detachment that you are not actually involved in delivering whatever values they're working on because you're not working with them, you're just observing, it allows you to come up with it allows you the freedom to think outside of the box that they maybe do not necessarily have. So you spend some time in the problem space, divergent. That means collect as many perspectives, as many information as you can. Now, some of us, would like to do this forever. But the problem is, if I only start understanding the problem, if I only observe the client, at a certain point, the client is going to be like, what are you doing for me? And that means I need to set a certain point where I start diverging, start converging. And that means whatever information I have so far, I need to use it in order to define it a little bit. That converging step is where I kind of see, okay, uh, this is the validation process for me to know that this problem is solved or not. Like, for example, let's say we go back to the food delivery app. I developed a food delivery app. How do I know that it is a good food delivery app or not? And this is not something that I should wait until the actual development in order to define. This is something that I should try to come up with certain assumptions about from the very beginning. And maybe if more restaurants are willing to register with you, that's a sign of success. Maybe if more orders are being made, then that's a sign of success. Maybe if more recurring orders are starting to happen, then that's a sign of success. And having a goal of growth and then getting new clients ordering is different than having a goal of more recurring. That means the same client ordering multiple times. And you need to also understand that if I have, for example, 10 clients and they're ordering food from me 3 times a day, then I have peaked with these 10 clients. I don't have the option. People don't eat 10 times a day. So my understanding of the context of the people that I have can help me set a good goal so that the solution is optimized for that. Now, you do that by creating personas. Okay, so we have stay-at-home moms. They care maybe more about the quality, and maybe they want it as fast as possible. Time is a little bit more flexible, I guess. Whereas, for example, office workers, in their context, time would be more of a constraint. They're willing to tolerate uh, a, a reduction in quality, maybe, at the expense of a reduction in time. That means if you're able to deliver it on time for them, that's a lot better, because otherwise they'd have to eat it in the last 10 minutes of their lunch break, or they'd have to eat it or come out and collect it during the meeting. People prioritize different things, they value different things, and creating a persona helps you understand what they might prioritize. And it also helps you, when you want to define a solution, to define it specifically to the type of customer that you are actually targeting, not a generic customer that exists in the wild that is the average person. I think there was a joke that says the average family has 2.3 kids. And basically, well, nobody in the real life has 2.3 kids. So averages are not necessarily what you want to aim for. You want to be as specific as possible. Then we go to the solution space, uh, create journey maps. Again, there are a lot of best practices in order to preserve as many options as possible. And we do develop certain workshops in order to dive deeper into that. If this is something that you're interested in any of these steps, diving a little bit deeper, let me know again in the comment, I guess, and I can uh, try to generate more courses on that. But the idea here is you want to understand what the solution is going to be doing for the customer, and this is where user stories come in. This is where story mapping come in. You want to try as much as possible not to get into the implementation side of things, because the same solution can be implemented multiple ways. So that's a diversion. You try to maintain as much options as possible, have a better understanding. Maybe some suggestions that you have require some refactoring. Maybe some suggestions that you have required handling some of your tech debt. Maybe some of the suggestions you have require accumulating more tech debt. Uh, we're still at the diversion step. Now, once we have enough data about what's possible in our system at the moment, given our context, then we can again go to the converge step, where we actually make a decision on the implementation, where we might be able to say, no, actually, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to refactor a large part of our code, because they're interlinked in a way that's going to create too many issues for us. So it's not feasible or it's non-viable to do this without fixing a certain part of our system. Or we could say, no, we can test it out. It's small enough. We can launch it and see how people are going to react to it. We're going to create a prototype. Maybe we're going to put some constraint in terms of like, we're not going to launch it to all of our clients, or maybe we're not going to launch it all of the time, or we're going to put a cap on the utilization. We might do certain things that ensure that whatever concerns we might have are not going to get realized, so that we're able to test our solution and then see how things will process from there. Now, again, we come back to our solution needs to be viable. That means we can make money out of it if money is our objective. If we have another objective, let's try to come up with a quantification of how we know we can sustain our business with whatever viability parameter we set. That it is feasible, that means it is something that we can build, like so, no flying buildings. That it is desirable, somebody actually wants it. It's not just that I'm a little bit bored and I want to deliver something. We said we start with a problem. That means somebody somewhere has that problem and they desire it. And I guess another aspect of it is I need to know who is this person that desired it. Like what type of, we can't say that, oh, people like food, therefore restaurant is going to be a success. There are many restaurants that are not successful because you need to be specific about your clientele, your specific clientele, what's going to be desirable for them. And obviously sustainable. And again, sustainability, the definition can evolve with your company, but the key criteria is, will your company survive with this solution, with whatever return this solution is going to bring in, and with whatever investment this solution requires. And yes, this might sound a little bit more on the business side, but it is important to again have the entire team aware of this, because they're already making decisions based on an assumption of what is viable, what is desirable, what is feasible, and what is sustainable. And the biggest loss to your business is if you have all these creative, intelligent people trying to optimize for different definitions of what is desirable, different definitions for what is feasible, different definitions for what is viable, and different definitions for what is sustainable. Like case in point, we go back to our food delivery app. We might have certain people in our team who want to develop a process that delivers food as fast as possible, because they think that's what's really desirable. Whereas most of your clientele might actually be office workers who need food delivered consistently on time. So too early is bad for them, too late is bad for them. The best way for you to ensure desirable, feasible, viable, sustainable solution is if every person involved in this entire process first has visibility over all of this process and also has an understanding of what does it mean to develop something desirable. What does it mean to develop something feasible? What does it mean to develop something viable? What does it mean to develop something sustainable? One funny quote, I guess, we had a team that's developing a mobile app, and they spent a lot of time in order to optimize a certain screen, and they were optimizing it for processing time. They don't want it to take too much time rendering whatever visualization is going to pop up. Now, the problem is most of the clientele had new phones, and what they were playing with is basically a response time of like 0.6 and 0.5 millisecond or something like that. I don't have the exact numbers, but it is something imperceivable to the customer. Whereas for the customer side, what they really cared about was memory. A lot of our customers were almost at capacity in terms of memory. So optimizing for the speed of processing for them was not something that they would care too much about or that they would be able to notice. But the consequence of optimizing for that made it so that the app is a little bit bigger. So we increased the size in order to satisfy uh, something that's desirable, maybe to the developers working on it, but it wasn't necessarily desirable to the customer. So having that definition clearly understood by everyone in the team makes sure that everybody is kind of working towards the same goal.